morning everyone. I hope you're well and safe and enjoying this lovely sunny weather. Now it's time for this week's assembly.
On the way into school today, I heard a poem on local radio by a poet called Matt Windle. And he's a poet that lots and lots of you know because he's actually been into school and he's actually run some of the poetry slams that some of you taken part in. It's a poem about how we in Birmingham have coped with the coronavirus. Have a listen.
I know that life right now is high risk, and that maybe you can't get out the house but have an empty fridge. I know that your car has broken down, and that you work for the NHS. And I know your phone is faulty and that your main communication existed through text. But I know about those that make a difference, like the companies delivering food. I know about the garages and mechanics that were there to fix your car for you. I know that Age UK ensured that someone could repair your phone, to prevent you from being lonely and to stay connected whilst at home. I know that Walsall Outreach volunteers deliver parcels for those in need. You require more substance than just food for thought when there are hungry mouths to feed. I know about the one-man home delivery service and the street fundraiser playing sax. I know about the bike donators, the Aunt Betty washbag makers and the nurses like Kat that's making masks. From the Everest stair climbers to those making PPE, the marathon kitchen runners and Albury's Brave to Shave police. I've heard about our innovators, like the knitting volunteers that have made over 600 ear protectors thanks to Phil and Claire's idea. I know about Wolverhampton Sikh Temple's £50,000 donation, funding technology which will connect families with patients. So if you're a charity that's distributing iPads or have left your home to care for the vulnerable, we say thank you. You're all integral pieces to help us solve this bigger puzzle.
Now Miss Sparrow is going to tell you about a few of her favourite poems.
I'm so glad you suggested this theme of poetry, Mr. Farr, because my dad loved poetry, and when I was a little girl he used to read lots of poems to me. He always felt that poems were there for all sorts of occasions, and actually they could inspire you and make you a stronger person. One of his favourite poems was a poem called Invictus by William Henley. You might have heard that word. It's used by Prince Henry in the Invictus games. It's a Latin word that means unconquerable or invincible. It's someone who's really strong and tough. And William Henley went through some very difficult times, but he was determined that even when it was dark, he was going to be in control of his life. He wouldn't let things just happen to him. And the last two lines are lines that I think are really powerful and I like to try and live by. And those lines are, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
Out of the night that covers me.
Black is the pit from pole to pole.
I thank whatever gods may be
for my unconquerable soul.
In the fell clutch of circumstance,
I have not winced or cried aloud.
Under the bludgeonings of chance,
my head is bloody, but I'm bowed.
Beyond this place of wrath and tears
looms but the heart of the shade.
And yet the menace of the years
finds and shall find me unafraid.
It matters not how straight the gate,
how charged with punishments the scroll.
I am the master of my fate.
I am the captain of my soul.
Well, that influenced me. And when I had my grandchildren, I decided when it was their christening, I would choose a powerful poem, something that was important, and I had it framed and I gave it to them along with their christening gift. Now, this was the first poem that I gave to my eldest granddaughter, Daisy. And it's a poem, it's called It Couldn't Be Done. And I wanted her to be inspired to think, all those people say, oh, you can't do that, that she'd say, yes, I can, I will do that. And unlike the previous poem, this is a very jokey, light-hearted one. It couldn't be done by Edgar Guest. Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but he with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be one who wouldn't say so till he'd tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hid it. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Somebody scoffed, "Oh, you'll never do that." At least, no one has ever done it. But he took off his coat and he took off his hat, and the first thing we knew, he'd begun it. With a lift of his chin and a bit of a grin, without any doubting or credit, he started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. There are thousands to prophesy failure. There are thousands to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait to assail you. But just buckle in with a bit of a grin. Just take off your coat and go to it. Just starting to sing as you tackle the thing that cannot be done. And you'll do it. So here's another poem now that meant a lot to me. I think it helps to build your character, tries to make you into a better person. And actually it was voted as the nation's favourite poem, so I'm pretty sure your mums and dads and grandparents will know this poem. It's called If, and it's by Rudyard Kipling. I'm not going to be the one reading it to you, but I'd like to choose a couple of lines that I think have are really important and have resonance and have meant a lot to me. The poem begins with the lines, "If you can keep your head, when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you." Well, I think those two lines are something to remember about being calm in the face of difficulties. And there's been numerous times as a head teacher when people have been flapping around going, "Oh, we can't do this, and what about that, and what's the SAT results?" And parents being cross and children being upset. And I've always tried to remember to keep calm. That's particularly true at this moment when we've had such difficult times. And sometimes you'll find that. You might find you're in a quiz team, a football match, and other people say, "Oh, that's your fault," or "Why did you do that?" Keep calm. The next lines that I want you to listen out to are, "If you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two imposters just the same." I think that's important. It's talking here about triumph, winning something, being fantastic, and disaster, when things all go wrong. It's talking about them as if they're people, as if they're imposters. And it's saying, instead of being someone who goes around showing off when you win and in people's faces and going, "Oh, we win," and making other people feel bad, just be level-headed in that. When you're winning, when you're doing something really well, be pleased, but don't make other people feel bad. But just the same, when you have bad luck, when things go wrong, don't go to the depth of despair. Think, "I will manage this. I can get through it."
And here's a version of If by Disney, so you might notice some of the characters, but as Miss Sparrow said, listen very carefully to all of the words.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you and make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet, don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those two imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
And now over to Mr. King. He's going to read a couple of poems that I know that you'll enjoy.
Hello everybody. As you know, this week we're looking at poetry, and I, as many of you know, like to write lots of poems, but for this assembly I've chosen to read a couple of poems that have really stuck with me by more famous authors than me. Here we go. And this is The Dash by Linda Ellis. I read of a man who stood to speak at the funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on her tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of her birth and spoke the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time that she spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved her know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger and show appreciation more, and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you spent your dash? And I've chosen this poem by Shel Silverstein because it made me smile, it made me laugh, it made me a little bit sad, and it made me think. It's much shorter than the other one. Said the little boy, sometimes I drop my spoon. Said the little old man, I do that too. The little boy whispered, I wet my pants. I do that too, laughed the little old man. Said the little boy, I often cry. The old man nodded. So do I. But worst of all, said the boy, it seems grown-ups don't pay any attention to me. And he felt the warmth of a wrinkled old hand. I know what you mean, said the little old man.
I like lots and lots of different types of poems, but I particularly like silly poems that make you smile. And one of my favourite poets is called Spike Milligan, and he's made lots and lots of silly poems, especially for children. And this is one that you might have heard before. It's a great poem. It's called On the Ning Nang Nong. It goes like this. On the Ning Nang Nong, where the cows go bong, and the monkeys all say boo. There's a nong nang ning, and the trees go ping, and the teapots jibber jabber joo. On the nong ning nang, all the mice go clang, and you just can't catch 'em when they do. So it's ning nang nong, cows go bong. Nong nang ning, the trees go ping. Nong ning nang, the mice go clang. What a noisy place to belong is the ning nang nong. Oi! You've heard some of our favourite poems, why don't you let us know what your favourite poems are? Just let us know through the Twitter account @HillstonePS. Thanks.
Now it's time for our Hillstone prayer. Time to think. May Hillstone be filled with loving kindness. May Hillstone be well. May Hillstone be peaceful and at ease. May Hillstone be happy.
To finish off with, here's a song that I know that you all know. And while you sing along, see if you can spot some of the things that we do at Hillstone in the summer terms. Now, obviously we haven't had much of a summer term this time, so look, and we've got some photos that go back a few years. You might even spot some older brothers or sisters, or you when you were very small. Enjoy it. I'll see you next week.
Unit 1, Unit 2.